Darius sat on a worn wooden bench in the heart of the city park, watching the golden hues of the evening sun stretch across the sky. The hum of life continued around him, children laughing, distant conversations, the rustling of leaves in the wind. He closed his eyes and inhaled deeply. This moment, this breath, was all that existed. The art of present awareness. Darius had spent years of his life either replaying old regrets or fearing an uncertain future. The promotion he never got, the love he lost, the opportunities he wasted. It wasn't until he immersed himself in the teachings of Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus that he began to understand the power of the present. He shifted on the bench and placed his hand on the rough wood beside him, feeling every groove. The past was unchangeable, the future was unknown, but right now, in this precise moment, he was here. He could hear the sound of his own breathing, the rhythm of his heartbeat. He repeated to himself, "If you wish to be free, desire only what is in your control." As a businessman, he had always sought success, but his endless pursuit of external validation had robbed him of the joy of simple existence. Now he had learned that the world outside was chaotic, unpredictable. Only his mind was his own, and so he trained it to stay here, in this very second. This training extended to every part of his life. He practiced slowing down when he walked, feeling the sensation of his feet against the pavement. He ate his meals with awareness, savoring each bite instead of letting his mind wander to unfinished tasks. Even when speaking with others, he trained himself to listen completely, to not just wait for his turn to speak. Every action became a meditation, a chance to live fully in the now. Mastering emotional detachment. The shrill sound of a phone call shattered his peaceful moment. Darius glanced at the number. It was his colleague, the one who had always sought to undermine him at work. He exhaled and let the call ring. The old him would have answered immediately, ready to react defensively, but now, he reminded himself, "You are not your emotions. You are the observer of them." Frustration arose in his chest, but he watched it as if it were a bird passing in the sky. It was there, but it was not him. He let it go. He was not a slave to his feelings anymore. He did not need to win every battle, nor did he need to let others dictate his inner peace. True power was in restraint, in choosing when to engage and when to let go. He let the phone fall silent. Later that evening, he found himself in a heated discussion with an old friend about politics. The debate became intense, voices raising, words cutting. But then he stopped. Why was he so invested in being right? He recognized the surge of ego and the way his emotions tried to pull him into conflict. He leaned back, took a deep breath, and simply listened. He did not need to prove anything. He let go of the need to control others' opinions, and in doing so, he found peace. The power of perception. As he stood to leave the park, he noticed a young man arguing with an elderly shopkeeper. The younger man, red-faced and fuming, accused the vendor of overcharging him. Darius paused. He saw the tension building, the rising anger in both their eyes. Once, he might have seen this as a fight, a conflict where someone had to be right and someone had to be wrong. Now, he saw it differently. People are not upset by things, but by their judgment of things. Stepping forward, he gently placed a hand on the young man's shoulder. "Why are you so angry?" he asked. The young man blinked. "Because he's trying to cheat me." Darius smiled slightly. Or perhaps he misunderstood the price. Or perhaps you misunderstood him. What if neither of you are enemies here? The tension in the air eased slightly. The young man still paid reluctantly, but without the same hostility. The shopkeeper too looked softened by the exchange. As Darius walked away, he felt no pride, only confirmation. Reality is shaped by how we choose to see it. This shift in perception applied to all things. A rainy day was no longer an inconvenience, it was an opportunity to slow down. A delay in his plans was not a frustration, it was a chance to practice patience. Every event was neutral, only his judgment determined whether it became a burden or a blessing. Resilience through voluntary hardship. Back at home, Darius stripped off his suit and laced up his worn-out running shoes. It would be easier to relax, to lounge on the couch after a long day. But ease breeds weakness. The Stoics had taught him that comfort was the enemy of resilience, and so he ran. The cold wind bit at his skin, his lungs burned. Every part of him wanted to stop. But he pressed forward, repeating to himself, "Suffering now makes the future bearable." He had once despised discomfort, had fled from pain. Now, he embraced it. If he could endure hardship by choice, then when true suffering arrived, loss, failure, grief, he would not crumble. He ran until his legs trembled, until his breath came in gasps, until his mind was sharper than it had been all day. In the weeks that followed, he extended this practice beyond running. He took cold showers, waking his body with a jolt. He fasted for a day, feeling hunger without reacting to it. He carried heavy bags home instead of calling a cab. These small hardships strengthened his mind, proving to himself that he could endure far more than he once believed. Practicing amor fati. That night, as he sat by his window with a cup of bitter tea, his phone rang again. This time he answered. It was his doctor. The words were heavy. A diagnosis. Something unexpected. Something he could not control. He listened, absorbed every syllable. And then, when the call ended, he stared out at the city lights. A younger version of himself might have panicked, might have cursed the universe for its cruelty. But now, he whispered the words of Nietzsche. Amor fati. Love your fate. Whatever this was, it was his. He did not ask why. He did not beg for things to be different. He accepted it as a natural part of life's design, and in that acceptance, there was peace. The next morning, he walked through the city with a new sense of clarity. He greeted strangers, not knowing how many days he had left, but knowing he would cherish each one. The world had not changed, but he had. And that was enough. Are you ready to reclaim your power, set boundaries, and live life on your own terms? If this story inspired you, don't stop here. Hit that subscribe button and become part of a community that embraces Stoic wisdom for a stronger, freer mind. Tell us in the comments, have you ever struggled? How did you break free? Your story could inspire someone else on their journey. Like this video if you found value in it. Each like helps us reach more people who need this message of self-respect and inner strength. Together we rise, together we grow. Subscribe now and walk the Stoic path with us.